Hare Krishna, my friends. Welcome. Welcome. After a brief hiatus, we're back on Friday night here, reading Teachings of Queen Kunti. And while this conversation between Queen Kunti and Lord Krishna is from an ancient tradition and an ancient text, the application to our daily lives is relevant. Tonight's chapter, Decreasing the Fever of Illusion, has some great information for just that. We're on chapter 9, page 84 of the PDF, or page 53 of the book. But before we get started, please let me offer my obeisances. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Panchakalpa tarubhyascha, kripasindubhyeva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They are just like desire trees and can fulfill the desires of everyone. They are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. So in this last prayer, it includes everybody. Vaishnavas everywhere. This universe, other universes, Vaishnavas in the past, in the present, in the future, everybody. I love that so much. All right, so let's look at the verse that we're doing today, we're reading about today. I have it on this board behind me. So let's look at the word for word first. Janma, birth, Aishvarya, opulence, Shruta, education, Shribihi, by the possession of beauty, Hidhammana, progressively increasing, Madaha, intoxication, Uman, the human being, Na, never, Eva, ever, Arhati, deserves, Abhidhatam, to address in feeling, Vai, certainly, Vam, you, the Kinchana Gocharam, one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man. The verse in Sanskrit complete is Janmaishvarya Shruta Shribir Idamana Mada Pumam Naivarhati Abhidatum Vai Tvamakinchana Gocharan. Sorry, my cursor was sitting over that word. It's like, what is that word? All right, in English, translation is, my Lord, your lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself with respectable parentage, great opulence, high education, and bodily beauty, cannot approach you with sincere feeling. Well, that's interesting. The last line, Tvam Akinchana Gocharam, Prabhupada speaks about that toward the end of the chapter. All right, straight on into the text. Any questions yet? Everybody ready? No questions? Okay, cool. Here we go. Sorry about that. Being materially advanced means taking birth in an aristocratic family and possessing great wealth and education and attractive personal beauty. All materialistic men are mad after possessing all these material opulences, and this is known as the advancement of material civilization. But the result is that by possessing all these material assets, one becomes artificially puffed up, intoxicated by such temporary possessions. Consequently, such materially puffed up persons are incapable of uttering the holy name of the Lord by addressing him feelingly. O Govinda, O Krishna. It is said in the Shastras that by once uttering the holy name of the Lord, the sinner gets rid of a quantity of sins that he is unable to commit. Such is the power of uttering the holy name of the Lord. There is not the least exaggeration in this statement. Actually, the Lord's holy name has such powerful potency, but there is a quality to such utterances also. It depends on the quality of feeling. A helpless man can feelingly utter the holy name of the Lord, whereas a man who utters the same holy name in great material satisfaction cannot be so sincere. A materially puffed up person may utter the holy name of the Lord occasionally, but he is incapable of uttering the name in quality. Therefore, the four principles of material advancement, namely 1, high parentage, 2, good wealth, 3, high education, and 4, attractive beauty, are, so to speak, disqualifications for progress on the path of spiritual advancement. The material covering of the pure spirit soul is an external feature, as much as fever is an external feature of the unhealthy body. The general process is to decrease the degree of the fever and not to aggravate it by maltreatment. Sometimes it is seen that spiritually advanced persons become materially impoverished. This is no discouragement. On the other hand, such impoverishment is a good sign as much as the falling of temperature is a good sign. The principle of life should be to decrease the degree of material intoxication, which leads one to be more and more illusioned about the aim of life. Grossly illusioned persons are quite unfit for entrance into the kingdom of God. In one sense, of course, material opulences are God's grace. To take birth in a very aristocratic family or nation like America, to be very rich, to be advanced in knowledge and education, and to be endowed with beauty, are gifts of pious activities. A rich man attracts the attention of others, whereas a poor man does not. An educated man attracts attention, but a fool attracts no attention at all. Materially, therefore, such opulences are very beneficial. But when a person is materially opulent in this way, he becomes intoxicated. Oh, I'm a rich man. I'm an educated man. I have money. One who drinks wine will become intoxicated and may think that he is flying in the sky or that he has gone to heaven. These are effects of intoxication. But an intoxicated person does not know that all these dreams are within the limits of time and will therefore come to an end. Because he is unaware that these dreams will not continue, he is said to be in illusion. Similarly, one is intoxicated by thinking, I'm very rich, I'm very educated and beautiful, and I have taken birth in an aristocratic family in a great nation. That's all right, but how long will these advantages exist? Suppose one is an American and is also rich, beautiful, and advanced in knowledge. One may be proud of all this, but how long will this intoxication exist? As soon as the body is finished, it will all be finished, just like the intoxicated dreams of a person who has been drinking. These dreams are on the mental platform, the egotistic platform, and the bodily platform. But I am not this body. The gross body and subtle body are different from my actual self. The gross body is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, and the subtle body is made of mind, intelligence, and false ego. But the living being is transcendental to these 8 elements, which are described in the Bhagavad Gita as the inferior energy of God. Even if one is mentally very advanced, he does not know that he is under the influence of the inferior energy, just as an intoxicated person does not know what condition he is in. Opulence, therefore, places one in a position of intoxication. We are already intoxicated, and modern civilization aims at increasing our intoxication. In truth, we should become free from this intoxication. But modern civilization aims at increasing it so that we may become more and more intoxicated and go to hell. I just want to add in here, I think also the word privilege has become used more recently. And these are all positions of privilege, and people who are privileged don't necessarily know that they're privileged. So it's indeed a kind of intoxication. Kunti Devi says that those who are intoxicated in this way cannot feelingly address the Lord. They cannot feelingly say, Jai Radha Madhava, all glories to Radha and Krishna. They have lost their spiritual feeling. They cannot feelingly address the Lord because they do not have knowledge. Oh, God is for the poor man, they think. The poor do not have sufficient food. Let them go to the church and pray, Oh God, give us our daily bread. But I have enough bread. Why should I go to church? This is their opinion. Nowadays, therefore, because we are in a time of economic prosperity, no one is interested in going to the churches or temples. What is this nonsense, people think? Why should I go to church to ask for bread? We shall develop our economic condition, and then there will be a sufficient supply of bread. In communist countries, this mentality is especially prevalent. The communists make propaganda in the villages by asking people to go to church and to pray for bread. So the innocent people pray as usual, Oh God, give us our daily bread. And when the people come out of the church, the communists ask, Have you gotten your bread? No, sir, they reply. All right, the communists say, ask us. Then the people say, Oh, communist friends, give us bread. The communist friends, of course, have brought a whole truckload of bread, and they say, Take as much as you like. Now, who is better, the communists or your God? Because the people are not very intelligent, they reply, Oh, you are better. They don't have the intelligence to inquire, You rascals, where from have you brought this bread? Have you manufactured it in your factory? Can your factory manufacture grains? Because they are Shudras, people who have very little intelligence, they don't ask these questions. A Brahmana, however, one who is advanced in intelligence, will immediately inquire, You rascals, where from have you brought this bread? You cannot manufacture bread. You have simply taken the wheat given by God and transformed it. But this does not mean that it has become your property. Simply transforming one thing into something else does not make the final product one's own property. For example, if I give a carpenter some wood, some tools, and a salary, and he makes a very beautiful closet, to whom will the closet belong? To the carpenter or to me, the person who has supplied the ingredients? The carpenter cannot say, Because I've transformed this wood into such a nice closet, it's mine. Similarly, we should say to the atheistic men like the communists, Who is supplying the ingredients for your bread, you rascal? It's all coming from Krishna. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, The elements of this material creation are all my property. You have not created the sea, the land, the sky, the fire, or the air. These are not your creations. You may mix and transform these material things. You may take earth from the land and water from the sea, mix them and put them in a fire to make bricks. And then you may pile up all the bricks to make a skyscraper and claim that the skyscraper is yours. But where did you get the ingredients for the skyscraper, you rascal? You've stolen the property of God, and now you are claiming that it is your property. This is knowledge. Unfortunately, those who are intoxicated cannot understand this. They think, We have taken this land of America from the Red Indians, and now it is our property. They do not know that they are thieves. The Bhagavad Gita clearly says that one who takes the property of God and claims it as his own is a thief. Stena eva saha. So this is from Bhagavad Gita 3:12. It's the tag end of the verse. The full verse is, in charge of the various necessities of life, excuse me, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of sacrifice, will supply all necessities to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. The devotees of Krishna, therefore, have their own form of communism. Just a second. Sorry about that. According to Krishna consciousness, communism, everything belongs to God. Just as the Russian and Chinese communists think that everything belongs to the state, we think that everything belongs to God. This is merely an extension of the same philosophy, and to understand it, one simply needs a little intelligence. Why should one think that his state belongs to only a small number of people? In fact, this is all the property of God, and every living entity has a right to use this property because every living being is a child of God, who is the Supreme Father. In Bhagavad Gita 14:4, Lord Krishna says, Sarva yonishu kunteya aham bija pradapita. I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. In whatever forms they may live, all living entities are my sons. We living entities are all sons and daughters of God, but we have forgotten this, and therefore we are fighting. In a happy family, all the sons and daughters know, Father is supplying food to us all. We are siblings, so why should we fight? Similarly, if we become God conscious, Krishna conscious, the fighting in the world will come to an end. I am American. I'm Indian. I'm Russian. I'm Chinese. All these nonsensical designations will be finished. The Krishna consciousness movement is so purifying that as soon as people become Krishna conscious, their political and national fighting will immediately be over, because they will come to their real consciousness and understand that everything belongs to God. The children in a family all have the right to accept privileges from the Father. Similarly, if everyone is part and parcel of God, if everyone is a child of God, then everyone has the right to use the property of the Father. That right does not belong only to the human beings. Rather, according to Bhagavad Gita, that right belongs to all living entities, regardless of whether they are in the bodies of human beings, animals, trees, birds, beasts, insects, or whatever. That is Krishna consciousness. In Krishna consciousness, we do not think, my brother is good, and if I am good, and I am good, but all the others are bad. This is the kind of narrow, crippled consciousness we reject. Rather, in Krishna consciousness, we look equally toward all living entities. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 5:18, Vidya Vinaya Sampane Brahmane Gavi Hastini Truni Chaiva Shvapakicha Pandita Samadarshinaha. The translation is, the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, an outcast. One who is pandita, one who is learned, sees all living entities to be on an equal level. Therefore, because a Vaishnava or devotee is learned, he is compassionate. Lokanam hitakarino. That's a section from the Prayers to the Six Goswamis. And he can work in such a way as to actually benefit humanity. A Vaishnava feels and actually sees that all living entities are part and parcel of God, and that somehow or other they have fallen into contact with this material world and have assumed different types of bodies according to different karma. And a really important point of this little section right here is they're just like us. We are that. We've fallen into contact with the material world. That's us. And everybody else, but that's us. Those who are learned, panditaha, do not discriminate. They do not say, this is an animal, so it should be sent to the slaughterhouse so that a man may eat it. No. Why should the animals be slaughtered? A person who is actually Krishna conscious is kind to everyone. Therefore, one tenet of our philosophy is no meat eating. Of course, people may not accept this. They will say, what is this nonsense? Meat is our food. Why should we not eat it? Because they are intoxicated rascals. Edamana madaha. They will not hear the real facts. But just consider, if a poor man is lying helpless in the street and I kill him, will the state excuse me? I may say, I have only killed a poor man. There was no need for him in society. Why should such a person live? But will the state excuse me? Will the authorities say, oh, you've done such very nice work? No, the poor man is also a citizen of the state. The state cannot allow him to be killed. Now, why not expand this philosophy? Trees, the birds, and the beasts are also sons and daughters of God. If one kills them, one is as guilty as one who kills a poor man on the street. In God's eyes, or even in the vision of a learned man, there is no discrimination between the poor and the rich, black and white. No, every living entity is part and parcel of God. And because a Vaishnava sees this, he is the only true benefactor of all living entities. A Vaishnava tries to elevate all living beings to a platform of Krishna consciousness. A Vaishnava does not see, here is an Indian and there's an American. Someone once asked me, why have you come to America? But why should I not come? This is Srila Prabhupada speaking. I am a servant of God, and this is the kingdom of God. So why should I not come? To hinder the movements of a devotee is artificial, and one who does so commits a sinful act. Just as a policeman may enter a house without trespassing, a servant has the right to go anywhere, because everything belongs to God. We have to see things in this way, as they are. That is Krishna consciousness. Let me check chat and see what's... Okay, so Bhakti Mimulus, there are some comments I missed. Bhakti Mimulus says, the way he just described the self, I'm not sure I've ever experienced it. It's always mind or intellect. I'm sorry, which section was that, Bhakti Mimulus? Way far back, sorry about that. Okay. So then he says, does that mean that capitalists are thieves too? They're the biggest thieves. Then he says, our karma is our dharma, or vice versa. Our dharma is our karma. Well, so dharma means living righteously, not necessarily our karma. Let me go back to the text then. Now, Kunti Devi says that those who are increasing their own intoxication cannot become Krishna conscious. A fully intoxicated person may talk nonsense, and he may be told, my dear brother, you're talking nonsense. Just see, here's your father and here's your mother. But because he is intoxicated, he will not understand, nor will he even care to understand. Similarly, if a devotee tries to show a materially intoxicated rascal, "Here's God," the rascal will not be able to understand it. Therefore, Kunti Devi says, Tvam Makinchana Gocharam. That's that last line of this verse, which you are the one who is approached easily by the materially exhausted man, indicating that to be free from the intoxication caused by high birth, opulence, education, and beauty is a good qualification. Nonetheless, when one becomes Krishna conscious, these same material assets can be used for the service of Krishna. For example, the Americans who have joined the Krishna consciousness movement were materially intoxicated before they became devotees, but now that their intoxication is over, their material assets have become spiritual assets that may be helpful in furthering the service of Krishna. For example, when these American devotees go to India, the Indian people are surprised to see that Americans have become so mad after God. Many Indians strive to imitate the materialistic life in the West, but when they see Americans dancing in Krishna consciousness, then they realize that this is what is actually worthy of being followed. So Bhaktivinoda has another comment. It means different for animals, but they have a dharma too. Well, yes. Yes, so animals are just living out those propensities and their karma. Everything can be used in the service of Krishna. If one remains intoxicated and does not use one's material assets for the service of Krishna, they are not very valuable. But if one can use them for the service of Krishna, they become extremely valuable. To give an example, 0 has no value. But as soon as the digit 1 is placed before the 0 immediately becomes 10. There are 2 zeros, they become 100, and 3 zeros become 1,000. Similarly, we are intoxicated by material assets that are actually no better than 0. But as soon as we add Krishna, these tens and hundreds and thousands and millions of zeros become extremely valuable. The Krishna consciousness movement, therefore, offers a great opportunity to the people of the West. They have an overabundance of the zeros of materialistic life, and if they simply add Krishna in their life will become sublimely valuable. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Comments? Discussion? Lisa, I see Kandita's voice is moving, but I don't hear anything. Oh,
Thank you.
oh, there it is. I'm sorry. What were you saying? I can hear you now, Kandita.
All I said was, and thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any comments or questions.
Okay. I seem to recall that you were going to follow up on some question we had a couple of weeks ago with some devotees. You were going to ask around. Do you remember
Oh
something?
my goodness. Yeah. Now I remember. But I forgot what it was that I was supposed to ask
All right.
about.
All right. Well, let us know if you remember next time.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, my friends.
Thank you.
See you all.
Hare
Jai.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to the assembled devotees.